It's a powerful protest at schools across the country. You'll hear from local students who took part in National Walkout Day. And as students protest against violence, local police investigate a new school threat. We'll tell you why 4 people have been arrested and classes canceled in Washtenaw County. And we finally got some sunshine today, but it didn't warm things up too much. So will temperatures improve as we head towards the weekend? Your forecast coming up first at 4.
Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News First at 4 starts now.
First at 4, you are looking at students across the country and across Metro Detroit making their voices heard. National Walkout Day saw tens of thousands of students demand action on gun violence. It's being called one of the biggest student protests since the Vietnam era, as a new generation flexes its muscle in the court of public opinion. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Karen Drew. A busy news day. The walkout didn't take long, but its impact could have ripple effects for years as a turning point in the debate over gun control. Students walked out or left class for 17 minutes to honor the 17 victims in the Parkland, Florida school shooting. Our Sandra Ali joins us now from Cass Tech in Detroit with a look at the local protests. And Sandra, you were outside of Cass Tech as those students walked out. What was the mood?
Well, hey there, Karen. Good afternoon to you. I got to tell you, the mood out here this morning was very energized. You could feel the students' passion. It's obvious how they feel about this cause. And I got to tell you, at times, it also got extremely emotional.
What do we want? Gun control! When do we want it? Now!
When thousands of students walked out of school this morning at Cass Tech in Detroit, many of them chose to wear orange, the color symbolic of the gun control movement.
We are walking out protesting gun violence and requesting gun control. We are making sure that our politicians hear our voices.
Gun control! Now! Gun control! Now!
My students are standing up to the plate. They're being the leaders that they are, and I couldn't be more proud of them. So we're standing for them.
Hey, hey! No way! Say no to the NRA!
Across town at Fordson High School in Dearborn, students observed moments of silence and used red roses as their way to honor victims of recent gun violence.
We want change! We want change!
Chanting, "We want change," several hundred students marched outside of Berkeley High School. They say they did it simply because they're fed up.
As everyone says, it's never going to happen to me. We live in a good town, so it can't happen to us. But when you look at all the shootings that have happened, they're always in good schools. And I can't expect not for it to be us.
And that young lady you just heard from there, she's a student at Berkeley High School. At last check, Berkeley High School had roughly about 500 students participating today, which is roughly about half of their entire population. At last check here at Cass Tech, they had a little more than 2,400 people marching today this morning, but that also included faculty members, administrators, the principal as well. So they had some other folks joining them during their march this morning, Karen.
A pretty smooth protest, Sandra, in terms of no violence, no fights. What were you hearing?
Right, absolutely. No violence, no fights. Detroit police were out here this morning. They had several streets blocked off as well. They were out here just trying to maintain the peace, trying to make sure everything went smoothly, and they didn't have any issues whatsoever.
All right, Sandra, we'll check back with you at 5 o'clock. Meantime, leading this national movement are the survivors of the Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School shooting. The massacre in Parkland, Florida, took place 1 month ago today. Student activists there have a warning for anyone who dismisses the movement because, quote, they're just kids.
We're 17 lives too late, so we have to do something now.
We seem to forget that so many of the revolutions and movements that happened in America have started with, not high school students, but college students.
It doesn't just have to stop with us. We're the stepping stone for a much greater purpose.
Shortly after the walkout, Parkland shooting suspect Nicholas Cruz was in court. He was formally arraigned on charges of first-degree murder for the 17 people that were killed. Just yesterday, prosecutors announced they will seek the death penalty for Cruz. His public defender offered a guilty plea if the death penalty was off the table. The judge has now entered a not guilty plea on Cruz's behalf. Our team coverage of the National Walkout Day continues tonight at 5. And at 6, we focus on a school over in Sterling Heights where the principal sparked a backlash with threats to punish students who walked out. We'll tell you what happened there. And as you can see, we are also offering extended video and photos from local protests at clickondetroit.com/walkout. In the middle of all these protests, 4 people are under arrest in Washtenaw County as part of a school threat investigation. Whitmore Lake Public Schools were closed today as a precaution. School officials say a threat had been made in reference to, quote, shooting up a building within the district. The 4 people arrested are all students or former students in the district. 1 weapon was seized as part of the investigation. The schools have already reopened for evening activities tonight, and classes resume tomorrow. We're getting closer and closer to spring. The sun did come out. It didn't really feel, though, like spring. Andrew, he's here with a look at what we can expect. It was chilly out there.
Karen, you're exactly right. We do need our coats and jackets. Look at the spread in temperatures. Some temps are stuck in the 20s, 28 degrees for our friends in Sandusky, only at the freezing mark in Port Huron. But thank goodness we're seeing plenty of sunshine. It's a chilly 39 degrees over at Metro, 37 for our friends over in Monroe. Look at the beautiful sunshine over downtown Detroit. Dry conditions for your evening plans. Notice how windy it is. A wind of 20 miles per hour, making it feel like it's in the 20s. So that's what we need to dress for the rest of the afternoon and for your dinner plans. And dry overnight. But do temperatures get higher tomorrow and into the weekend? We'll talk about that part of your forecast and, of course, your 7-day forecast in just a few moments.
All right, thank you, Andrew. Ford launching a new safety recall. This one involves a serious problem with the steering wheel. We're talking about nearly 1.4 million mid-size cars in North America. Ford says the steering wheel can actually detach from the steering column, causing a driver to lose control. The company says it knows about 2 crashes and 1 injury caused by this problem. Now, the problem is blamed on some bolts that can loosen over time. The recall affects certain Ford Fusion and Lincoln MKZs from 2014 to 2018 model years. Dealers will make repairs for free. Ford will notify affected drivers when they can come in. A political earthquake. That's how some analysts are describing the impact a special election in Pennsylvania today could have on Congress. But so far, the race is too tight to declare an official winner. Kimberly Gill in the newsroom. And Kim, both parties are watching this one very closely.
Karen, that they are. Good afternoon to you. And a political earthquake almost doesn't even do this election justice. The special election held in the district that includes Pittsburgh has historically voted Republican, but that could all change today. Some analysts have already called the race for Democratic candidate Connor Lamb, which would be a major upset over Republican candidate Rick Saccone. But due to the razor-thin margin of tallied votes, it's all going to come down to the absentee ballots. The closeness of the race is astonishing, not just because President Trump won the district by 20 points in 2016, but it's been a Republican stronghold for years. Republicans and Democrats are taking very different lessons from this tight race.
Both of these people, both of these candidates, the Republican and the Democrat, ran as conservatives, ran as pro-gun, pro-life, anti-Nancy Pelosi conservatives. And I think that's the takeaway we see here.
We can win everywhere. When we invested early in Alabama, people thought, frankly, that it was a fool's errand. And I thought, no, it's not.
Now, of course, the DNC chairman there is referring to the Alabama Senate race where Democrat Doug Jones was a surprise winner. Right now, Connor Lamb's lead over Rick Saccone is about 600 votes. But it looks like a recount is likely no matter what happens there in the end. Karen will, of course, keep you posted. Until then, we'll send it back to you in the studio.
All right. Thank you, Kim. President Trump is still on the road, and he is making news with a new hire. Air Force One just landed in St. Louis a short time ago. The president will tour a Boeing plant and campaign for a Republican Senate candidate. The president has named CNBC contributor Larry Kudlow to be his new chief economic advisor. Kudlow says he's taking the job even though he does not support the president's new tariffs. He says he agrees with most of Trump's policies. First at 4, we're tracking stories making headlines all around the world. We start in Britain, where Prime Minister Theresa May is tossing 23 Russian diplomats out of the country. It's part of her response to the nerve agent attack on a former spy and his daughter in a small English town. Britain believes the Russian government is responsible, although Russia denies any official involvement. The Russian ambassador to Britain calls the move, quote, absolutely unacceptable. But speaking at the United Nations late today, Ambassador Nikki Haley just said the United States is backing Great Britain. From outer space to Hollywood, the entire world remembering physicist Stephen Hawking. He died earlier this morning. He battled ALS for 50 years. He became a huge star in the world of science. NASA tweeted in part, remembering Stephen Hawking, a renowned physicist and ambassador of science. May you keep flying like Superman in microgravity. And take a look at this tweet from the cast of the sitcom The Big Bang Theory. It reads, in loving memory of Stephen Hawking, it was an honor to have him on The Big Bang Theory. Thank you for inspiring us and the world. Hawking was 76 years old. Still ahead, the viral video of the day. We will show you how Elsa from Frozen actually helped stranded police officers. You've got to see it to believe it. Also, a disappointed family is suing the Boy Scouts of America, why they believe their son is being treated unfairly. Gunfire in a classroom. 3 students suffer minor injuries. But wait until you hear who accidentally pulled the trigger. We'll be right back.
Spring break coming up all new on Local 4 News at 5 and 6.
It's a rough ride on one dirt road in Warren, and it's not because of the gravel.
It's unfair. We pay just as much tax as everybody else.
We'll tell you how the city of Warren is responding.
As the nation debates training teachers to use guns, many people are talking about what happened at this school in California. 3 students are injured after a teacher accidentally fired a gun in a classroom in the town of Seaside, which is next to Monterey. The teacher, who is also a reserve police officer, was giving a safety lesson when that gun went off. The students were hit with fragments. We are told they will be okay. The teacher is on administrative leave from both the school and the police department. A family in Utah is suing the Boy Scouts of America. They say their son was kicked out of the Eagle Scouts because he has Down syndrome and is autistic. The parents of 15-year-old Logan Blythe say he was accepted into the Eagle Scout program at first, but then the local Utah County chapter told the family it made a mistake. The National Boy Scout policies say Logan cannot be in the program because he cannot meet alternative merit badge requirements. Family calls the turnabout stunning.
We had this all planned out, and 24 hours later, we get a text message saying, oh, I'm sorry, we should have never said you were approved.
The family says Logan worked for years to earn dozens of Boy Scout badges, and they were told his merit badges will not be recognized. The Utah County chapter says the Eagle Scout requirements are decided at the national level. I guarantee you we'll be hearing more on that one. Cleanup beginning again after the third nor'easter in less than 2 weeks went through New England. More than 2 feet of snow was dumped on the area around Boston, and winds gusted up to 70 miles an hour. Well over 100,000 people are left without power after snow once again downed trees and power lines. More than 1,400 flights were canceled, so if you are flying east, make sure to keep checking on your flights as airlines work to clear that backlog. So basically, we have no right to complain that it was a little chilly, the sun was out, we didn't get hit with snow, we've got power, all is good.
That's right. We are very fortunate to have that sunshine here, and they're still getting battered in places like Maine, Vermont, and New Hampshire, Karen.
Our heart goes out to them.
It certainly does. We hope they recover very quickly over the coming days. Around here, still remaining cold as we go through the overnight hours with low temperatures in the 20s, but also remaining dry. Now, temperatures will fall into the mid and upper 20s later on this evening, especially after midnight. Some temps are already in the upper 20s, like around Sandusky. Here in Detroit, in the metro zone, temperatures down between 24 and 28 degrees from Detroit to Troy and places like Clinton Township. Gorgeous sunshine is still out there, ladies and gentlemen. Looking at downtown Detroit, Comerica Park makes you think about baseball and some of those warm thoughts. 39 degrees right now, but it feels like 29 with the wind blowing at 20 miles per hour. As we go through the rest of the day today, we'll still continue to see that wonderful sunshine. Notice temperatures are a little bit lower elsewhere. Pontiac's at 34 degrees, only 2 degrees above freezing. 34 also around Pinckney and also around the Brighton area. Temperatures in the middle and upper 30s from Dundee over to Monroe and over in Adrian, where winds right now are at around 13 miles per hour. Pretty breezy in your neighborhood too. I mean, look at these winds in Pontiac, 18 miles per hour, 15 mile per hour winds over in Mount Clemens. So even though it's in the 30s, it feels like it's below freezing. I mean, 32 is the highest wind chill. That's on Grosse Ile. But we need to dress for the rest of the afternoon and this evening as if it is below freezing, because that's where wind chills are going to stay. All this warmer weather, it's going to stay to our west and our south as well. This chilly pocket of air that's overhead with temperatures below average by a good 5, even near 10 degrees. It stays overhead, but snow continues to move away. There's all that heavy snow that continues to plague portions of New York and New England. This is going to continue to spin away and move farther away from us. High pressure slowly takes over as we go through tomorrow, Friday, and especially this weekend. Now, we'll still have a healthy amount of clouds around for tomorrow, and it remains chilly, but it gets brighter with slightly higher temperatures as we go into both Saturday and Sunday. So let's recap your forecast. Remaining dry through this evening, partly to mostly cloudy skies overhead. Temperatures tonight down to 25 with skies clearing after midnight. So fair skies are ahead, especially after midnight. Just make sure the pets, if you're doing some gardening, shopping for gardening or farming, make sure potted plants are back indoors, those seedlings as well. Temperatures down to about 25 degrees overnight. Sunset this evening is at 7:39. Sunrise tomorrow at 7:45, still getting earlier and earlier. Notice high temperatures only around 37 degrees with all the clouds around. Don't be surprised by a flurry or two, but remaining mostly dry for your Thursday. March Madness comes to Detroit on Friday over at LCA, a high of 39 degrees. Karen, there are those higher temperatures on Saturday and Sunday, near 45 on Saturday, close to 50 degrees, but certainly higher temperatures on Sunday. Back to you.
Trending stories are next, including a viral video of a surprising snow rescue. Boston police never expected Elsa from Frozen to get them out of a jam. The story behind this video that thousands of people are watching right now. Also, classroom controversy. Parents are upset about what happened to a puppy inside a science class at this school. That story is next. But first, as we go to break, here is a look at how the markets have closed for the day. As we see, the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P 500 all down. Look at the Dow, down some 248 points. Here are your automotive stocks. First at 4 continues with a classroom controversy. This one from southern Idaho. Some parents are outraged. A science teacher actually fed a live puppy to a snapping turtle. We are told that the puppy was sick, and some parents say the teacher was teaching a hands-on lesson about the circle of life in nature. We are told the teacher is still employed and has not been placed on administrative leave, but the school and police are investigating this one. Let's talk about trending stories. Change things up a little bit. Many of you are talking about Pi Day, as in the Greek letter. And math lovers know that pi is the ratio of a circle's circumference to its diameter. But the annual celebration on March 14th has become an excuse to save money on all kinds of pies, from pizza to apple. You can find a list of special deals at clickondetroit.com, so make sure to check it out while there's still time to cash in. Also trending today, when's the last time you went inside your bank to make a transaction? It's probably been a while, huh? Well, an Italian pastry chef has an idea that might change your habits. Ignio Massari is Italy's top pastry chef. Now, he's actually come up with an idea to open a bakery shop inside a bank branch in central Milan. Many branches are closing in Italy. The goal is to turn them into more inviting places, and grabbing a pastry and coffee might just give people a new excuse to go to the bank. We'll see if it catches on. Things are always better with pastry, right? Well, you would probably have to call our next story comic relief for the snow-battered people of the Northeast. Take a look as Elsa, from Frozen, helps push a Boston police car that was stuck in a snowbank. Elsa is actually 37-year-old Jason Triplett. He's dressed in drag as the Disney princess. Boston police were happy to have the help. And as you can imagine, this video going viral on this Wednesday afternoon. Still ahead on First at 4, clowns are learning what it takes to be successful in the modern age. We'll take you to a clown convention.
During Walsall.
Finally, First at 4, depending on your personal phobias, this could be the funniest or perhaps scariest thing you've seen all day.
I actually love them. The Clown Convention is taking over Bloomington, Minnesota, ladies and gentlemen, featuring clowns from all around the world. The clowns are learning how to adapt to the new world as some circuses are fading away, Karen.
Yeah, they're learning new skills like social media marketing and also the classics like presenting perfect pies. The convention runs for 5 days. Thanks so much for joining us for First at 4. We are back in a half hour with Local 4 News at 5. Inside Edition is next. We sure hope you have a great afternoon.